Hi, this is Darkon633, and today I'm bringing a review of the Power Rangers Dino Charge Villain Wave. Now, as you can see, there's only 3 villains, and that's because the other 2 villains my brother actually wanted, and he's most likely going to review for his channel. So, depends on when I put this video up. He will already have the video up, or I don't know exactly how it goes, but he does want to review the other 2 villains, so keep that in mind. Anyways, we'll now take a look at 3 of the figures that are released in this wave, which is a really good wave, actually. I really like the fact that Bandai America is going back to the day of the week monster, and so far it's actually doing a lot better than it did in MMPR. I'm suspecting it's because we haven't had villain figures in such a long time, so there was like a drought for villain figures in general. Especially since they didn't even make the main generals for a couple of years, and they're just making less and less villains overall. And especially with the export fiasco, where it was like one of the hardest drone figures ever I've seen, it is a bit annoying what they went ahead with here. But anyways, we have 3 of the villain figures here. We have Wrench, Ice Age, even though the box says Ice Monster, technically his name is Ice Age, and Bones, which is funny because we already had a Bones in MMPR, so there you go. Anyways, we'll take a look at the boxes first. I'm just gonna take a quick look at the front and back of at least Wrench's box, since it's pretty much the same all around otherwise. We have Wrench here, shows Villain Wrench, shows a little bio here, and so on and so forth, which, that's right, each of them do have different bios, so just to quickly go over them. Here is Ice Monster Ice Age. The back shows a bio. More figures in the line. Same thing with Bones here. Back 2. And it's very cool, actually. We'll now go on to the individual figures. First, we'll start with one of the main generals, Wrench, or known as Aigeron from Juden Sentai Curio. Anyways, his articulation is pretty good, actually. His head does turn 360. He does have full shoulders movement, but only about that far due to the way that his shoulders are designed. But it does go 360, which is good. And he does have an elbow bend, but no wrist swivels. He has no waist articulation, and his legs have full range of movement. However, the one thing that the figure could have used is knee joints. So that's like one of the main missing joints. And his feet can slightly pivot, but as you can see, it does have a little cracking sound just because the joints are rather tight. So, there you go. He does have a really nice axe, which almost popped out of my hand here. But it is missing the paint, since it had some red details on it. And it's completely missing on this figure, but that's passable, since it's not really expected that they will paint throughout the entire figures. Anyways, we'll now look at the first monster ever featured in Power Rangers Dino Charge, Ice Monster, or Ice Age. I think he's actually one of the most articulated villains in the line, since he has very limited head articulation, but he does make up with the rest of his joints. He has full shoulder swivels, and even though he doesn't have outwards movement, he does have a full swivel on his elbow. He does have an elbow bend, so that's good. He has fully jointed hips, and he does have a knee joint, making it one of the more interesting villains in the line, since he has quite a lot of articulation. We'll now move on to Bones, which to me is actually the worst in the entire villains, just because most of his articulation, it gets hindered by his entire body design. His head can barely move, somewhat less than Ice Age. He does have full shoulders, but only about that much, so there's not much you can get with him. And he doesn't have any leg articulation, but instead his legs just kind of swivel here, which is a bit lame. He does have the jar that he used in the episode, but he can't even carry it, and it's way too small to put anything inside, as you can see. So you could kind of make him do this, which looks really stupid. Just doesn't really work too well. So fortunately, his own accessory he can't even really use, so all it can do pretty much is just be attached to the side. Overall, I still think the villain wave is really cool, and it's still really nice that they're continuing to make the villains. Now, I also have 2 other figures here. One which we already covered, which is Curio, another general in the Dino Charge series. And I also got some Viveks, which I actually haven't reviewed on my channel since it was its own wave with Curio, and since I already got that in the multi-pack, there wasn't any other time to review this figure, so I'm just going to quickly review it here. His head is on a ball joint, so it allows full movement, but due to the hair design, there isn't much movement you can get there. He does have pretty standard shoulders and so on, like the Dino Charge main Ranger figures, which is really cool. He does have full leg movement. He does have a knee bend, and it does swivel. So basically, it's about the same as the regular down to charge figure. So that's really cool that at least the main, drones of the season does have a pretty decent amount of articulation. Now, he does have some really nice paint all around, and I think it's actually one of the best painted figures next to Fury and so on. But the one big problem with it is that he does have hands molded where you can actually put weapons in hands, but unfortunately they did not make his weapons that they used in almost all the Vivics during most of the show and so on. So it's a bit of a bummer that they didn't go ahead and do that, since several of the other figures in the line, including Fury, Wrench, and a few others, do have accessories. Now, I could have done with accessories and maybe bones just kind of molded on his pot there, since they can't even hold it anyways. But it is still cool that we're getting a bunch of villains in the line, and it's really nice what Bandai America has to offer, especially since now your Power Ranger figures can fight villains for once, since for years there really isn't anything to fight against. But anyways, I definitely highly recommend this wave, and especially with the new wave already showing in some stores, which is shocking how fast they got to that one as soon as this one was released. But overall, I still think this is a really nice set, and I highly recommend it for Power Rangers Dino Charge fans, and definitely for kids, so that kids can fight some villains of their own on the Power Rangers figures. Anyways, please kindly subscribe and check out Hero Talk and the Gideon blog as soon as they open up. Also, please check me on Twitter under DarkOn633, and also please check down the other channels down below, and I'll be sure to bring more Power Rangers reviews in the future. Anyways, I'll be seeing you on YouTube. Bye.